you guys to know I full on recorded another version of this, and then I was like, that feels mean. Like, it felt mean. So I'm trying again, okay? And I'm trying to be like a little bit more neutral. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, welcome back to Black Girl Wrestling. Today, well, today my name's Danny every day, but that doesn't matter. Today we're doing something a little different, alright? Today we're talking about total non-stop action, alright? Who would have thought? Certainly not me. So TNA got a TV deal, and I know a lot of people have a lot of very strong feelings about TNA, like one way or the other. I don't. Like, up until this, I knew like literally nothing about modern TNA. I knew who Danny Luna was, but that was because of Deadlock. I knew about Leon Slater because of the Osprey Project, and like a couple other like folks here and there. But like, I don't know anything about the modern product. I have no, didn't know who was champion, anything like that. And I was like, well, I mean, they're gonna be on TV, and like, I like good wrestling, so like, let's give it the old college try. I was trying to be open-minded, and everybody was like, Danielle, don't do that. I was like, well, why not? You know, it's wrestling. And look, I typically enjoy All Elite Wrestling, but we're not exclusive. Like, we are not exclusive. I'm not looking for wrestling monogamy at the moment. I enjoy a lot of other promotions. I don't watch many of them as consistently as I do AEW, but like, I like good wrestling and I like to seek it out. And so I was curious when I saw that this was going to be readily available to me, because that's one of the things that I really appreciate about AEW, is that I don't have to have a streaming service to watch it. I could go on and on about the death of cable, but I won't. But I was like, I have all these different streaming services that I really only used when I was, well, as I watched all these damn Osprey matches, but that was like Rev Pro, Wrestle Universe, Honor Club, like, of that nature. I never had TNA Plus. Is that what it's called? TNA Plus. I never had that. So I don't know what they got going on out there. But since it was readily available on TV, I was like, I'll tune in, whatever. It's Thursday night, 911, which is my show, airs from 8 to 9. This started at 9, so I was like, whatever. So I watched it, and I have thoughts, and I thought I would share them with you. I took notes. That page is empty, so ignore that. But I took notes because I wanted to know what was going on. So I'm going to tell you about it, okay? Okay. Where to start? Okay, I will actually say, like, the best part the whole night, truly, of, like, everything, was, like, the video packages. There's a video package at the very beginning of the show that I thought was great. I thought it was effective in getting you hype and be like, this is what TNA's gonna be, you know, who's excited? And I was like, me! Why wouldn't I be excited? Like, let's go! Then they start the show and immediately bring out AJ Styles, which obviously I understand doing that, right? Like, someone like me, who my knowledge of TNA is mostly rooted in like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and like folks like that in that era, because they're so, in my head, synonymous with TNA, and I know so little about modern TNA that I think that that moment was for people like me who, you know, may not recognize anybody on the modern TNA roster, but like, I know AJ Styles from TNA days, and I know him from WWE now as well. But you know, he comes out and he grabs the mic and cuts a rah TNA promo, which, I mean, I totally get, and I totally respect. The crowd was super into it. Honestly, they were super into it the whole time, and so you're like, yeah, okay, like, let's do this then, you know. I'm right there with you. Let's get into it. I probably think, because one of the overarching themes for the night was that I did not think they did a very good job of understanding that this was supposed to be like an introductory level show. Like, I probably would have had one of the champions come out there and cut that rah TNA promo rather than somebody that does not actively work here. Like, I understand it, I get it. I just think that if I was putting this show together, I probably would have made a different choice, and it would have been someone who I want the audience to resonate with going forward, not just playing the hits nostalgia-wise, you know? But speaking of playing the hits, because then out come, you know, the Hardys, which I would be like, look, I understand a lot of shit has happened with them, you know, and I'm not even referencing their personal lives, I'm referencing their professional lives, like, whether it was, you know, the exit from WWE, like, the time on the Indies, and, like, the time in AEW, like, there's been a lot with the Hardys. Unfortunately, Jeff Hardy in particular, I'm still rooting for him. Unless there's something that I don't know. In which case, guys, please inform me. But, like, unfortunately, Jeff Hardy still pops me. And, like, one of the reasons I was curious about, you know, watching TNA in the first place was because Matt Hardy got bold and he started going around and saying, I think TNA can be the #2 promotion in the US, you know, like, AEW, we come up for your spot. And I was like, you know what, first off, I respect it. Like, this is an industry in which you have to kind of call your shot. Like, that's what grabs people's attention. It fucking worked. I watched it. You know, I watched your product because of your brash and bold statement. So, mission accomplished there. I wasn't mad. I know some people were mad about that. What I will say is that watching this tonight, I don't see it. But best of luck to ya. But the Hardys came out with Elijah, and I was like, isn't that like Elias? Sorry, I'm turning back in my notes. I was like, isn't that like Elias in WWE? And I don't watch a lot of WWE, but I was watching this show tonight, and that was an overwhelming, like, sentiment. Was like, oh, I know who that is, because they used to work in WWE. And I was like, well, who are the TNA people then, you know? Because it felt like there were the bulk of the moments and the bulk of the show were people that I recognized from somewhere else, which isn't necessarily bad. It's just like, I don't know. I was looking for, like, who from TNA am I supposed to invest in? But alas. So it was Elijah and the Hardys versus the Order 4, which also included Mustafa Ali. I don't know who the other two people were, but I know who Mustafa Ali was. I actually liked this match. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good way to kick the show off. And I thought it set, honestly, like, a decent tone. I know other people had varying opinions about this. I thought it had maybe the only memorable wrestling spot in the whole show. I actually think it was post the actual match, but Jeff Hardy's, like, ear piercing, they, like, chained his ear piercing, like, to the post. It was fucking nasty, and I loved it. I love stuff like that. So my bloodlust, even though he doesn't really bleed, like, I felt good about that. I liked the gore. I liked that. What else happened? Sonya Deville, whose name is now Daria Ray. I had to write it down. There were so many people that I was like, oh, I know who that is. And then, like, oh, no, different name. I'm like, cool. She came out and she was like, I'm the suit now. And I was like, cool. I don't know who was in charge before this, you know, like, but thank you for interrupting that guy, but I don't know who that is. So, like, I'm gonna put a pause in that thought to kind of explain my general mindset throughout the course of the night. I think you need to assume, when you get a TV deal, I think you need to assume that this is episode 1 of TNA for a lot of people. Like, at least ideally, you would be, you know, opening yourself up and exposing yourself to a much bigger audience than whoever just had your streaming service. So you kind of have to walk people through it, like, step by step. How did we get here? Like, you have a backstage segment with the world champion. I don't know who the fuck that is. I know he used to work in AEW and, like, respectfully didn't really make no waves, but I know that about him. I don't know anything about that character. I don't know anything about the challenger. I don't know anything about these people. And I felt like a lot of the night was based off the presumption that, like, well, yeah, of course you saw last week. How was I supposed to watch last week? You weren't on TV. You know? So like that I felt like was a really frustrating part of the night for me. And that didn't go away. I felt that from start to finish. And even I have a lot of qualms about the show, but that was like my biggest one. It's like, I can't be the only one kind of confused, right? Like, I'm not trying to come into this as any type of hater. I don't know anything to even hate on. I'm just telling you point blank, I don't know these people. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to give you a shot and you're not meeting me where I am. You're not helping. And even when they were cutting the promos, it was all like forward facing, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be XYZ. How did we, who is now? You know? Like, I think in particular, like, because one of the other things that came out was, you know, the Knockouts World Champ, Li Yang Lee. Did I write that down right? Please hold. Lei Ying Lee? I don't remember. I'm so sorry. I can't read my own handwriting. But she came out and she cut a promo, and then they had two people from WWE, like Sol Ruka, came out, who I like, came out and said, we're not going to challenge for the title, but she's gonna challenge for the title. And like something else happened and Danny Luna's visa didn't clear, so she's not here. And it's like, whoa, I don't know who anybody is, and now there's 4 people in the ring telling me there was supposed to be another one. What? Walk me through it. Like, how is she world champ? Is she a heel? Is she a face? I don't know. And you know what? You might just be saying, well, Danielle, it's because you're a fucking idiot. But what I think is that what I am is a first-time viewer, and this show overall was doing so much. It had so much going on, and it accomplished so little. I think if I was booking a show like this, the emphasis would be on the core group of people that you want to build your product around on TV going forward. This did not feel like that it had a focus. The show tonight did not have a focus at all. It was a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and not even much wrestling. And even the promos being cut were a little bit nonsensical. I'm getting worked up because I'm like, I don't know if it's me, you know, because there's like, I will admit that I have the memory of a dead goldfish. I've said it a million times over. So maybe they were explaining things in great detail and I'm just like the silliest girl in the whole school. But I was mad half the time. Yeah, then fucking Perez Hilton was out here. Perez Hilton came out and he was with these other people and they're like, we've been teasing for weeks. Mr. Elegance. Again, I haven't been here for weeks, and I'm not the only one. Like, what happened a couple weeks ago? Who the fuck is Mr. Elegance? Who the fuck are these people? Why is Perez Hilton here? And why is he chopped? Is it your whole job to make fun of what people are wearing and the way people look, and you want to open up the floodgates to whatever people might have to say about you wearing that on national television? I don't know why Perez Hilton was here. Why is he here? Who are these people? And so that, I don't know if you can get, that upset me too. Because then they were like, yeah, this is Mr. Elegance. I don't care. Who the fuck is Mr. Elegance? And then all of that was to actually lead into the Knockouts tag title match. The women were not the focus of that at all. And then everybody left the ring and they were like, actually, this is a Knockouts tag match. What? You didn't tell me anything about the women. Who are those people? So then it was the Inspiration versus the Elegance. A very forgettable match. And the thing about the Knockouts division is what I should have said earlier, is that my familiarity with TNA is, you know, AJ Styles, one of the best in-ring performers to ever do it, and ran TNA like the Navy. You know, the legacy of folks like Samoa Joe, but it's also been the badass women of the Knockouts division. I have always had a reverence and appreciation for the Knockouts division because I felt like it provided something different than what a lot of other companies, WWE, was having women do on TV at times. I always felt like, wow, the women of the Knockouts division are just so fucking cool. They're cool, you know? And they're real hoopers when y'all let them hoop, you know? Not to say that there weren't elements of that other places, but I always thought that the Knockouts division, I thought they've been unique. I thought they've been cool as fuck. I thought they've been badass. I loved it. So I didn't love that the tag titles felt like not even a secondary story and Perez Hilton being here, but like not a story at all. Had nothing to do with anything that was going on. Two other quick points. One, like, there were some production mishaps, which I think everybody was kind of gassing it and blowing that out of the water, because even y'all's beloved AEW still can't end the show on time 6 years later. Like, they had a match 2 weeks ago where it's supposed to be lights out, and you turn the lights out so bad nobody can see shit. So those in glass houses. But, you know, there were some production mishaps, but I think that those, like, you have probably a crew that hasn't done much TV production. You know, there were bound to be some mishaps. I heard that somebody's wrong music got played and stuff like that. Like, those are things that I think will improve with time. Like, I'm not gonna sit up here and, you know, give them lashings for that. You know, why? I think that's dramatic. What I will say is, like, also, like, you have your celebrities in the front row or like lined up against the barricade, but you put them in front of empty sections, like full-on sections with no people. And I've not some of those people that's like, oh, the ticket sales are bad. Da, da, da. It's not my check. It ain't got shit to do with me. I don't care about your fucking ticket sales. But I will say, optics wise, like, you couldn't have put them people over here with all the screaming fans. You know, like, why? The shot is not good. The shot is not good, and people who are looking to dunk on TNA, like, you gave them that ammunition with that particular shot, and then you went back to it a lot, and I kept thinking, well, maybe they shot this, like, before anything else, like, maybe they shot this before the show started, and then they pan to the rest of the crowd, and you're like, no, they just made the choice to have these people stand over here. That was wrong. They shouldn't do that again. And then also, your definition of celebrity was very generous. I also am the first to admit that I live under a rock. So maybe everybody was like, oh my god, these people are amazing. I know who this is. I didn't know who a single person was. And in your own definition of celebrity, you included active members of your own roster. That's funny to me. Like, it's not even wrong. It's just, I mean, sure, you know. But shout out to Mara Sade. I am rooting for you. The other things. So then we had, like, so there was minimal wrestling on this show in general. For a show called Total Nonstop Action, there certainly were large pauses. I'm just gonna get the main event: Frankie Kazarian versus Mike Santana. The only thing I knew about either one of these individuals was that they used to work in AEW, and that people wanted Santana to win, which is what happened. The match itself was fine. Honestly, I really enjoyed the last 5 minutes. I credit a lot of that to the crowd reception. You know, it was clear the whole night that the people in the building were having fun. Like, you cannot take that away from them at all. And honestly, sometimes that's what good wrestling boils down to. It's like, no, I don't know these people and I don't know why I should care, but clearly you guys care, so I'm just gonna, I guess I'm gonna follow in the herd mentality. But like, it's fun. You don't have to overthink every single thing. In the last 5 minutes, I felt like there was a lot of emotion. I felt like there was a lot of, there's just a lot seeping out of the match. And I've never been someone that, like, I always consider myself, in-ring importance is so much more of a priority to me, or in-ring quality is so much more of a priority to me than people be like, oh, there's no storyline. I think, hey, if the match is good enough, I can forgive just about any booking mishap. Just about any, if the match is that good. What I will say is that I think most of the night we were dropped in the middle of storylines without much background or much context at all. And you did not sell me or make me interested to see what was next in just about anything. You didn't sell me with the in-ring wrestling. You didn't sell me with anyone on the microphone. You gave me no reason to want to come back, in my own opinion. And then the whole thing with, like, the people that I do know and we're interested and excited to see, like, the Danny Lunas, like, the Leon Slaters, like, they're not here. Why did you put them on the... Why were they on the poster? And I know it's always the classic card subject to change, but, like, that was, like, 2 days ago I saw that poster. Like, y'all not finna lie to me. Like, I know that shit was on there. And, yes, circumstances can change, but it feels very like, oh, big bro WWE made a call, or, like, AEW, taking the Rascals. Like, it feels like you weren't able to contain your own roster. I think you're getting bitched a little bit by these other two companies, and that should concern you, because some of your most compelling talent is, like, not shows anymore, brother. So we'll see. I don't see how... I'm not trying to be mean. Here I go again. I don't necessarily see how sustainable a show is if it's like that. Like, this wasn't for me. Honestly, there wasn't much the whole night that I was like, I love this. This is for me. That doesn't make it inherently bad. That doesn't make it the worst thing in the world. It's something that I won't be tuning in to see again. Because how we spend our minutes is how we spend our lives. But the most... Oh, another thing I really enjoyed. So I said I liked the video packages. The most helpful part of the whole night was the injury report. I loved that. I thought that was, like, a fantastic touch, a fantastic segment, and I learned more about the background and context of all of the different feuds in those 30 seconds than I did in the other 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 30 seconds of the program. Truly. Because you're like, oh no, so, this match isn't gonna happen because these people were attacked backstage. Simple. Got it. This person is going into their title match and, their shoulders fucked up, but they've been cleared and they're gonna go. Got it. So now that I'm looking out for that when they're in that match. Like, I felt like that was such a succinct, great way to get the point across. That came about halfway through the show. And I was like, this is great. Other companies should do that. Now, maybe that's wrong, because maybe don't, like, post their ideas and shit. But I don't know. I'm not booking any of this shit. But I loved that. I thought that was simple. I thought it caught you up on... It gave you at least a little bit of the basics of some of the feuds. I just would have loved to have seen those things taken in more depth with the major feuds. So... that was my thing with that. My biggest qualm, because now I'm done with the notes, because my biggest qualm with TNA and the show that they had on Thursday, their first show back on TV. How the fuck are you gonna try to sell me a pay-per-view? Like, what? What? Like, it literally feels like, I was like, I just met you. And you're like, oh, there's a pay-per-view this weekend. I don't fucking know you. It literally feels like you went on a bad first date and then the guy was like, all right, now your place or mine. That feels a little presumptuous. Huh? I don't know you. And what I did see, I didn't love. And you want to go all the way? Like, yeah, I just think the audacity to ask for, like, people's hard-earned money off one show is crazy. That's crazy to me. And it wasn't a great show. I'm like, I feel like it's, like, further encapsulates my point and further proves my point of, like, you were assuming that everybody was watching your show before today. And so that's why it's okay. I can ask you for money on Sunday. Because, like, you know me. You know, we go way back. Like, you've been watching TNA this whole time. Not everybody had your streaming service. Not everybody was tapped in. Like, that's the point of getting on TV, is you're going to have a wider audience. There's going to be new people here. It is just so, like, I got such an ick by that ask. And I don't even know how much it was, but honestly, I feel like that doesn't matter how much it was. Like, it's not about the actual dollar amount. It's more about, like, I don't know you. You just did a title switch on free TV. What would I be paying for? How am I supposed to know that? Like, and I guess half the shit that y'all advertise for the actual fucking pay-per-view is not gonna happen. Because you're chalking it up to visa issues, and hey, I know things are crazy right now, so, like, could these actually be visa issues? Yes. Am I suspicious that it's actually, you know, other companies running interference? Yes. But you're telling me all of this stuff, you're like, oh, this match was supposed to happen, but instead it's this one. Pay for it. I don't know who the OGs on that card were, let alone these new people. Is that not crazy? I feel like that's fucking crazy. And that was the one thing where I was like, this is not for me, I don't think. Because, like, you know what I mean? Like, and y'all let me know if you think that I'm tweaking and like, oh no, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. I don't like that. I don't like that. But, right, so then my other thing was, I feel like the overarching point was that the show was not very good. In my estimation, the show was not very good. There's really nothing that could be said beyond that. I struggled to even find some bright spots of that particular show. Now, that's not me, you know, making a broad sweeping statement about TNA as a whole or about everyone on the roster, about XYZ. I'm saying first impressions, this was an odd one. And I'm not intrigued to see further. I'm not. And, like, I'm trying to be nice. But, like, I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I won't be coming back. And I can already hear now, oh, but then, you know, AEW's first couple shows were bad. You know, AEW had Kenny Omega. But I digress. I'm not even getting into that. The difference between AEW and TNA in this respect is that AEW, yes, you had some talent that folks might know beforehand. You had a Jericho, for example. You had Mox, who comes in at the end. You had some people who came from other companies that other folks might recognize off the bat. You had the Elite, who you were really relying on in a lot of different ways and relying on people's familiarity of them, whether it be from BTE, from New Japan. Like, you really needed people to, or at least their fans, to show up and to pull up and to support it. And they did. So you had these characters who were like semi-known or known by other audiences who did come in. But a lot of the people in AEW were brand new to North American audiences. Like, but you knew we didn't know them. So you would give us the background and be like, nope, okay, that's MJF. You know, he's XYZ, he comes from this place, he's doing this, and he has this intent to do XYZ. Okay, got you, next. You know, like, it did not feel like they were picking up somewhere because it felt like episode 1 of something, which it was, you know. Did AEW nail it in their first show? No! There were some, like I said, there were some production mishaps. There were some misses, I would say, in terms of booking. There were some misses that, you know, we look long term and you're like, oh, why did you do that? So I'm not saying that that was a perfect show. What I'm saying was that, and giving the audience an introductory, basic level, you know, exposure to their talent, to who they are, to what they represent, to who they're going to be, made me feel much more informed off of one episode than TNA's iteration of that in 2026. Part of it was because TNA is picking up from somewhere. But I don't think that it's your audience on TV's responsibility to work backwards. You know? Not the first time. Like, you should be walking people through it. You should be talking people through it. The very first time. And they didn't do that. I don't know, guys. If you're a TNA enjoyer, Godspeed to ya. Y'all live over there. Like I said, me and All Elite Wrestling are not monogamous. I do just, like, I spend most of my time over there, but I'm not tied down. Do you see a ring? I'm not a TNA girl. I will not be a TNA girl. I will not be watching Impact. I will be supporting the black women of TNA, because that's what Black Girl Wrestling does. And I will check out some cool match highlights when they pop up on my feed. But I gotta do what's right for me. No, can't live like that. Other than that, that's kind of all I've got for you today. I will be back next week, perchance, hopefully with a very special guest, but we'll see. Thank you for watching this episode of Black Girl Wrestling. Make sure that you comment on the video, whether it's positive or positive. Those are the options. Share it. Actually, maybe don't, because then people are gonna be like, "Oh, she was shitting on TNA all night." Maybe this video will be posted for 4 seconds and I'll take it right down. But make sure you comment at least. But you don't have to share this one. This can be a little secret between us. Okay, love you, bye.